Yup. So Sherry
Hey,
Stone, welcoming Sherry Stone to every canine.
thank you, Mark.
How you been doing?
I've been doing pretty good. Been really, really busy with the puppies and some training dogs and just the weather. I mean, I think everybody's having trouble with the weather.
Man, it was beautiful out there today.
Today it was, but
It was beautiful today, but it's been crazy though. It's been
yeah.
it's been it's been crazy. It's been so cold, man. I ain't even want to do nothing. I ain't even want to do nothing.
hmm
So
Well, it's hard when you have 4 week old puppies and it's snowing and 5 week old puppies and you can't take them. I do a doggy door for them and I couldn't put them through it. So I had to like make arrangements in the house for them. And that's a lot of pee pads.
yeah, that is a lot of PPAs. That's a lot of
Yeah,
money. That's just like constant money with them P pads.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
so your puppies are 4 weeks old. Matter of fact, before
No,
we
no, no. Now they're no, that was back during the snow. Now they are about 6 weeks.
oh, they're 6 weeks old now.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's backtrack. Let's introduce some of the people to you that don't
Okay.
know who you are. So I met Sherry Stone a little while ago, and I feel like she's a very intelligent breeder. She is trying to do the best that she can with her bloodline, and I thought she'll be a good person to bring to the channel and introduce you guys to her and give y'all a chance to meet her and to see her dogs and to ask any kind of questions that you want. And if you catch this live stream on the back end, just feel free to leave your comments in the comment section, and we're gonna definitely get back to you. But Miss Sherry, let the people know what you do and how long you've been in the dogs and what kind of
Okay.
brought you to this point.
Um, I have been since 1999. I've been in the poodles, and I started out with the poodles to do hunting. I had a pet poodle back years ago, but and I was going to hunt with him, but that never happened. So I bought a dog to hunt with, and we trained him to hunt. And then I decided my ex-husband now, but my husband at the time, he kept giving the dogs treats. So I decided to buy a female. And I bought a female, and so then that's what started the breeding thing. And I became as a in doing that, I had a lot of experience in the cattle and horse world. So whenever I got the poodle, I decided that I needed to join the club here in Houston so I could learn more about what they considered a good breeder. I thought I had a good idea at that time. So
Hmm.
I joined them. And then immediately at that point, I went to our nationals. It was just a few months later. And then I had decided that I wanted to become a member of the national club. I had actually read in a magazine about the hunting poodles. And so that's what, and it was the national club that was bringing the hunt back in the poodle.
Was it
So absolutely, that's where I went.
was there like a criteria of getting into that club back then? Was it
Yeah, and there still is. It took me like 7 years, 11 years to get into it.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what did they want you to prove to be able to get into that?
Well, you had to be a breeder to get into it, and you were supposed to have so many champions, confirmation champions.
Oh,
But I wasn't doing confirmation; I was doing hunting. And a lady by the name of Annie Clark, who was like world known. She Judge Westminster several times, but she was a big poodle person. And she's passed away now. But she decided she wanted to bring the hunting back into the poodle, which originally that's what poodles were. They were duck dogs. They were
mhm.
originally from Germany, and the French got them, and they kind of changed them up a little bit. And so they didn't. They hunted with them too, though. But so I kind of went to the first nationals and took my dogs up there to compete in the hunt test, and they both failed.
Oh, wow,
So
crazy.
yeah, it was all the way in Maryland. So it was a 2 day drive. It took me 24 hours to get there.
Wow, to get there and then
So
finish at the same time. But you probably
yeah,
learned a lot. You probably learned a lot
I
from that.
learned a lot. That's how I met Annie Clark, and she took to me right off. And so after that, I have attended, I think, 19 uh, nationals now. but they've moved them from Maryland to uh, Missouri. So it's not quite as hard to get there to Missouri. But I went 14 times to Maryland. So
So when you
I was very dedicated.
what's it like at the nationals? Like, are they testing the dogs, or like what are they
They
doing at the nationals?
Yeah, no, they well, sometimes they do have clinics to do like heart tests and thyroid tests and different tests that they may require for, to breed. Um, but mainly they do obedience, conformation, we do the hunt, they do agility, and we just have a really great time. It's just poodle people with poodle people, and there's it's really really beautiful to
So
have
they
all the dogs there.
so that the club is like it embraces each other. Sometimes clubs can
Yeah.
kind of be clicky sometimes. So they embrace you.
Oh, absolutely. I had no trouble now. I know because I was willing to listen to them. I didn't come in with my own plan or anything like that. I wanted them to tell me, what, but I did have some breeding background with cattle and horses. So I understood what they were, where they were coming from. Back then, there was only a few tests that we did for the poodles. Those like hips, eyes, um, sometimes, you could do thyroid, but now that the DNA is so big, we can actually do DNA testing for recessive disorders. Back then, we couldn't do that.
Oh,
So we had to really work at trying to keep a healthy bloodline because we just didn't know everything like we do now.
yeah. You couldn't pinpoint it that quickly like that.
No,
So, interesting, interesting. So you've been to the poodle. I mean, you've been to the nationals 14 times. You said
14 times in Maryland, and then the rest of the time I went in Missouri at St. Louis at Purina Farms.
okay, cool, cool. So, you started breeding kind of like immediately, right? And then you've been
No,
breeding the whole time?
No, actually, what I did was like I said, I got the male dog, and then he kind of took up with my husband, and so I decided to get a female. And a female needs to be at least 2 years old before you breed her.
Mhm.
And for training for hunt and stuff, lots of times at two, you're still training. They don't have titles and stuff. So I waited till she was almost three, I think, and I bred her. She had titles at that point, and my male dog also had titles. I wasn't doing confirmation; I was just doing the hunting stuff. And I was also I was so impressed with everybody there. I mean, it wasn't easy to get the poodles into AKC hunting events because they're not considered, a sporting dog. They're in the group that's not for sporting, and so to get them moved over there, they had or get them to allowed to. They didn't move them. They were in the non-sporting group, so they had to like figure out how to approach AKC, and the parent club, which is PCA, had to do that. And so when I came, there were several women that were already in the process of that. And what they did was they started having what we call a working certificate and a working certificate of excellence. And that's where you show that the dogs can actually do water work and retrieve birds and do all that kind of stuff. So they had to do that for a couple of years before they would even allow the poodle to join the AKC hunting test and stuff. And there's a difference in a hunting test and when you do a field trial. Field trial is poodles can't do field trials, but they can do the hunt test. And the hunt test doesn't have a first, second, or third place. It's just a pass fail. In the field trial, there's a first, second, and a third. And those dogs can become a champion field trial dog. Whereas in the hunt test, it's just a pass fail and they don't become a champion. But we do have junior, senior, and master. So there are three levels to it. And so it's
So
really amazing that that the poodles actually were able to get into it, and there's a lot of people that worked really hard to do that, and that came before me, several years before me. But then when I came in, I wanted to um, I went to the first one and failed, so I went back to the nationals the second time and passed, and I thought, well, there's no reason for me to keep coming back. So when I got back to Houston, I started talking to some of the people, and I said, we need to give a program that recognizes people that pass the test over and over. And so that's when they
what made you
implemented.
what made you so ambitious to, like, like I gotta pass this? Like, what was the ambition or the motivation behind saying I want to get into this club and I have to do X, Y, and Z?
because I just love the dogs. I love the poodles, and they can do that. They could do it. Back then, there just wasn't any dogs doing it. I mean, there was like a handful of them at PCA. So that um, I knew that the dogs could hunt, and it was just so great to be in part of that. We would go. Me and my ex-husband, we would go hunting, and people would like laugh at us. When we'd unload a big
Yeah,
black poodle out of the truck.
yeah, yeah.
But you know, so that's the whole thing. We wanted the poodles to actually be able to live and do the things that they were originally bred to do,
So that's what you
and
just
that
want to
was
show off the dog. You want to like make people know that they up there too. That they can
yeah.
do like a lot of other breeds.
Right, right. That they can do what they were originally bred to do.
Do you feel
You
like,
know,
in your opinion, do you feel like every poodle should be able to hunt? Is that a standard that's in there?
no, I
Dog should be able to.
no, not really. It's even like every lab doesn't hunt and every
Yeah.
golden doesn't hunt. You know,
Or
and
or
so
should a poodle have certain drives that are standard
it
within the breed?
it should have drive, but lots of times just trainability. If you have a dog that is trainable, will do it. But they do need the drive to want to go out and fetch a ball or get a bird or something like that. You can't. I mean, I have had dogs that I've helped people try to train that just had no interest in it. And but so in doing that, we have kind of I have and several other people have too started breeding poodles to have more drive to hunt.
Okay. So, and I guess those dogs probably wouldn't go to pet homes, right?
Well,
Or
sometimes
would they?
it kind of depends. You can have a dog that has a lot of drive, and if someone is active and that kind of stuff, they can go. And not every puppy in the litter is going to have drive. Some of the pups aren't going to be that way. I mean, there's too many genetics being tossed around.
Yeah. How they take to the what breed did you have before poodles?
I
I think.
had I had a Doberman and I had a blue heeler. I
Okay.
raised 6 blue heelers, but I was raised with Brittany's. My father uh, raised and hunted Brittany's when I was a young girl.
So in comparison, how do you think the poodle trains? Like in comparison to those dogs, like what's the trainability of the poodle?
The poodle's trainability is just as high as any of them, but the difference is they're smart. And like a lab, he can take a little bit of harder correction than a poodle can take, and you can kind of do it over and over. Poodle's smart. They figure out what's going on. And if you're too severe on your corrections or anything like that, they just quit. They're not going to work for you if you're not going to be fair. You have to be fair in your training.
So
And
okay.
labs really don't care lots of times, or goldens.
Yeah, so they're handlers. You would say they're handler sensitive dogs for the most part. Like they're
Yeah, I'd say that they are a sensitive dog and they're super smart. So, like I said,
like
you
the
have to
Doberman.
figure out.
That's kind of like the Doberman. They real handler sensitive too. They kind of
They
sensitive to a degree.
When you shave them down physically, they are built a lot like a Doberman.
Hmm. That's
When you
interesting.
shave all the hair off of them, except
Yeah.
for the ears, they have long ears.
So they probably
But
take. So you can't use too much compulsion when you try to train a poodle.
no, you've
Right.
got to be, and especially if you have one that has a lot of desire, you just have to do a little bit what we call force. You don't
Yeah.
want to over force them. And so that force is like a lot of people do a lot of different things. I just use like a pinch collar, and I just give them a little pressure with the pinch collar. If they drop it, I
Mm.
give them a little pressure with the pinch collar, and I pick it up and put it back in their mouth, and I release the pressure with the pinch collar. But you don't want to do anything very severe
Okay.
because, yeah,
They'll shut
they're
down on you.
yeah, they'll shut down.
They kind of shut down. Cool. So how many puppies do you have right now?
I have 4 puppies, but I only have 2 that are participating. The other 2, I have a ramp that goes through a doggy door and goes out into a run, and the 2 of them were just being lazy back underneath the the ramp.
Yeah, they're all black.
They're all black. The mother was what you call black dominant, and it wouldn't matter what you bred her to. Every puppy was going to be black.
Okay. Um, do you feel like most people want black? Like when people come to you for poodles, they want black. Is that the main color, or they like the cream type color?
Actually, black is probably one of the more preferred black females. It seems like people want mostly, and that's what I have is four black females. But also lighter dog. I kind of prefer a lighter dog only because in Texas they don't get quite as hot. When you're hunting and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Although the blacks can handle it too, you just have to be careful with any dog you hunt in Texas. You have to be really careful about the heat. So you want to make sure that you don't overhunt them and that kind of stuff in the heat because it'll kill them. Puppy. Oops. So, like I said, I kind of have the cream. I prefer apricot and cream sometimes, but I started out with two black dogs, and
I ain't hear. Hello, can you? You
oh, can
just
you hear
came
me?
back. We froze. We both froze.
Oh,
We froze
okay.
for a minute, so I was waiting
I
for it.
wondered what was going on there for a minute.
Yeah, it froze. So I was just waiting for it to clear up.
Is that a bad connection? Is that what does that?
Yeah, I guess it was just a bad connection, but we got pretty decent internet out here, so I don't know what that was.
It could be mine, right?
Yeah, it might. Yeah,
Yeah,
normally it was ours because we out here in the country, so
right,
we out
right.
here, so we in the sticks. But what were you saying?
Well, I was just saying that the black I do have my girls are all light colored. Now their mother was not. Now she was a dog that I was the breeder, but I sold her and I co-owned her with the people I sold her to, and we decided to have a litter of puppies. So we did all of her testing and stuff. And but also she was also her testing. She was cleared through parentage. In other words, her parents had been tested.
Mm,
So in reality, I wouldn't have had to test her, but I went ahead and tested her anyway.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh,
What?
because I wouldn't have to. Other than there's some tests like the hips and eyes, but the genetic testing I wouldn't have had to redone. She had been cleared through parents. Don't you two start fussing? And so that's what I was saying. But I have my girls are light and my boys are black.
Okay,
So,
gotcha. What's your criteria when you sell a puppy? Like
oh,
what's your thing?
yeah. Well, there's quite a few things to tell you the truth. The first thing is that you have to understand that you can't, if you buy a puppy from me, you can't buy, sell, or breed that puppy. And if you come to the point you can't keep it, you return it back to me.
Okay,
And the
so you
reason,
can't. So hold on, let's back up. So
yep,
you can't. Oh, you said buy. You didn't mean buy. You mean you can't sell or
yeah,
breed
right,
it, right? So
right.
you can't sell it to anybody else, and you can't breed it. And if you rehome it, you want it to come back.
It has
So
to come back to me, right? You can't rehome it to anyone but me. It
so
has
you
to come back
sell
to me.
so you sell primarily pet quality, I guess you would say, right? Because they can't breed it, right?
Well, that's not true either. True. Now, there are sometimes if
Mm,
I have a dog that's really nice and someone, wants to do all the right things with me as a co-owner,
mhm.
we can probably breed. That's the way this mother's puppies was. This mother was. I was her breeder. I sold her to the people. We became very trusting of one another. They sign a contract. They have to sign a contract.
Mhm.
And so we decided that she was worth breeding. So that's what we did. We bred
So
her.
it's
And
based on
so,
it's kinda like based on relationship.
right. And we shared the litter. I did the whelping. They didn't know how to whelp or do that stuff. So I handle all of that.
Yeah.
But she lived with them. Like she's not with me now. Once we weaned the puppy, she went back home.
Yeah, yeah. I get it.
So, yeah.
Get it. Yeah, I guess it's just
So,
based on relationship, but you don't wanna start creating all these breeders. So that's why you kinda got it kinda
well,
like that, right?
yeah, well, people get really upset sometimes when you say, well, if I'm going to pay quite a bit of money for a dog, I ought to be able to breed it. And so, kind of my analogy to that is kind of like this and plus, you have to really know what you're doing.
Mhm,
But if I was a person who created an unbelievable plastic, it was like the best plastic in the world, okay? And
mm.
I made plastic bowls out of them, and they were just the most fabulous plastic bowls, and people were buying the bowls and all that kind of stuff. I would not sell my formula for the plastic bowls. I would sell the plastic bowls. So it's like I'm not going to sell the formula of my breeding, for you to take and breed and maybe mess up, maybe ruin it or do whatever with it.
It's
So that's
like
kind of the now you're buying my bowls, not, you know. not my ingredient.
You don't get the ingredients to the situation. So
That's right.
it's like a trademark.
Right.
It's like a trademark basically. And
Right.
so do you feel like all of the years, because I guess in a sense it would be like all of the years that you've put in trying to perfect this
Right.
line that you're creating, basically, right? And then
Yeah,
you just kind of give it to somebody else that might just breed it to any random old poodle, and you
that's
just don't
right.
want your dogs to go to that, right?
Right. And then they get sick, and then people are talking bad about your dogs and all that kind of stuff. And so, I put all the work into it. And I understand I had to at one point buy a dog that I could breed, obviously, two
Mhm,
dogs I could breed. But you know what? I went out and bought dogs that were like people felt like that were pet quality. Even but back then it wasn't quite so strict.
mhm,
But I bought my first male dog was a dog I bought out of the paper, and then the female Lottie that started this bloodline, I bought her from up in Nebraska, and so she had champion fathers, but her mother and everything were just pets. And it was the same way with my dog, Do Ray. He had champion sire, but the mother was just pet quality. So I actually had to start kind of with just a little bit, you know what I mean,
mhm.
to do it.
And
So you really kind of hate to give that to somebody and then take it and breed sick dogs or do, that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah. And I guess, people they gotta know that. I mean, some breeders they give full rights, right? Some breeders give full rights and they say, hey, this is your dog completely, uh
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
as you will. Um, I don't care nothing about nothing. And they might also say you can rehome it with anybody. I don't care. I don't want anything to do with that. And then
That
you have the other way where it's like,
right.
okay, look, there's standards on this dog. If you can buy this dog, but this is the contract that is with this dog,
Right.
basically, or this line if you want it.
And I would be careful of people who just let you take your dog and breed it to anything you want to breed it to, because apparently they haven't put a lot of time and thought maybe into those dogs that they're just going to let somebody take them and do whatever. I mean, they could end up, you know, at the pound or anywhere, I worked with a poodle rescue too, and it's amazing what people do. One time we had a female poodle that was dumped out on the highway going out towards Galveston, and she was pregnant with a litter of puppies, and they just took a bag of food and split it open and put her in the ditch with it.
That's wild.
So
That's
yeah, so I don't want that happening to my babies. I spend a lot of time with these puppies, and I would just be heartbroken if something tragic happened like that.
So it's better just to take it back, even though it might be a burden at times. Somebody might bring a dog
Yeah,
back at the wrong time. But
right.
it's better than them just giving it to Joe Blow. Uh,
Exactly.
uh,
Exactly. And being, you just don't know what had happened to them.
yeah.
So
Well, I can
yeah,
understand that, and I know basically like it's a lot of breeders that have criteria. It is what it is. A lot. I was trying to get man. I forgot what kind. I think it was a Bengal cat. A cat.
oh yeah, Bengal cat, yeah.
Trying to get a Bengal, and man, it was so much paperwork to get a Bengal, and I wasn't even approved. I didn't even get approved for the dang on cat, and I didn't even know how to feel about that. I'm like, what you gotta do to get approved for a cat? Like, so,
I hear you.
so
I
I,
know they are very picky about those cats, but a lot of times those cats, because they're different type of cat, you know what I mean, that
mhm,
people can't deal with them, I think, sometimes.
yeah,
But I can see where you probably could have dealt with one easily.
that's what I was thinking. I was like,
Yeah.
dang, I just, yeah, how that happen? I
Well, if I
can't.
had a Bengal, I would sell you a Bengal cat, no problem.
I'm
Because
cool now. I don't want no cats now. I'm cool now. But at that time, I needed a cat. I actually needed a cat. So
right,
I was like, I'm gonna get me a dope cat. I ain't gonna get me just old regular cat. I want to get me a
right,
nice looking cat. And yeah, it didn't work out.
yeah,
So I didn't know they
right,
was that strict like that with the cats. I didn't know.
yeah. Have you ever been to a cat show?
No, 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 no.
You should go. You should go. It's like a whole different experience.
It is. I heard
Yeah,
there's some money in them cats. I heard this.
yeah,
They say that's the business right there. Ain't
Exactly. And I you should go to a cattery too. I mean, they're a little different,
no,
but
oh,
the way they show those cats, they pick them up and carry them around like they're a piece of china, you know,
that's crazy.
when they show them. And they do agility with them too.
Agility with the cats.
Yeah.
See, it's a lot. I don't know. I don't see. I know I
See, if
ain't
you
that
had
deep.
a Bengal cat, you'd know that.
Exactly. I guess that's why I didn't get approved. I wasn't into them enough like that, you know. But yeah, I know a lot of people appreciated me showing your dogs the last time because especially I seen that more men actually like the breed. And,
Right.
I guess they like the fact that they wasn't just shown to be like feminine dogs. 'Cause a lot
Right.
of people look
Right.
at the poodles like, they're just a female dog. They kind of a weak dog. You're not even really knowing the history of the poodle, that the poodle was like a war dog to some degree for a minute.
Right. They
Uh,
did use it some.
yeah, exactly. So, but you'll never think that unless you really do the research on it. Like they were considered war dogs
Right.
along with many other breeds. So, you gotta have respect. I respect the poodles. I like them. I got a question about the grooming of a poodle. Like,
Okay.
how often, are you grooming them? And if like, do you gotta comb their hair all the time? Like, will their hair matte?
No, well, yeah, it will, Matt. But here is the thing. I'll say so. A young dog, they have a different coat than the adult dog, and usually around 14 months they start losing their what we call their puppy coat to
Uh-huh.
get their adult coat, and they map like crazy when that's going on. And so, uh, probably you have to do them about every 6 weeks, you know.
Okay.
But it depends on how close you shave them. So sometimes you could like shave them down pretty close and then just take them back to the groomer and have them debate them and do what we call face and feet. Just shave their face and their feet, just kind of clean them up. So it
Mm,
wouldn't be like doing a whole groom. And then, but they don't like my adult dogs, they don't really match. And I don't brush them every day. The only dogs you really brush every day are the show dogs. Now,
okay.
dogs love to be brushed every day, and the poodles love it. So I know a lot of people that do, but they usually will brush their ears and that kind of stuff. But it is what you want. If you want to brush or have a dog to brush, then you let their hair grow. If you don't, you keep it short. It's real simple.
Yeah. I was gonna ask a question about, like, are they do they have any food allergies in general, like the poodle?
They can. They're just like any other dog. They can be allergic to lots of times. Chicken is a high allergy.
Yeah.
Uh, Meat. I hear a dog walking back there. Silas, did you get out of your out of the? That's my that's my
I see.
male dog.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I had him. I have a gate, and I had him in the kitchen, and I guess he's decided he's gonna come in here and see what's going on. So but he's fine. He's okay. So
Yeah, I
so
just want to
the
let the people kind of know, if they get a poodle, like what they're getting in general. You know what I mean? That's why I wanted
right.
to know about
Well,
the.
they can have food allergies. They can have allergies just like any other dog. I mean, it's sometimes they have, and I am a what you call limited vaccinator. I do limited vaccines, so lots of times that keeps dogs from having allergies. Lots of times they have problems with vaccines. Now, it's not necessarily poodles that would have a problem with that, but all breeds could have a problem with that. All breeds can have an issue with chicken too, and
Yeah,
some grain.
I've seen.
It's just kind of it's really not the breed, it's just the dog.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. It's not like I get what you're saying. It's just an individual dog. Not all of the breed will be allergic to this thing, but okay.
Right,
I
exactly.
got you. I got you. So, if somebody has kids, is the poodle good for people that have kids, or what kind of lifestyle should you really be bringing a poodle into?
Poodles are great for kids. Um, but you do have to remember that they are super smart. So they can like start tricking your kids into doing stuff that they're not supposed to do. Like sneaking candy or that kind of stuff. I mean, it's pretty funny what the poodle like I had a poodle that would work the ice machine in the refrigerator. So I had to always keep it locked. She would roll down the windows in the car. Had to keep those locked. She would, if I went to an event and stayed in the hotel, I have those pop-up crates that have the zippers.
Yeah.
So if I didn't lock hers, she would unzip hers and then go out and unzip the other dogs too.
Wow.
So, and they watch what you do. That's the thing. They learn so much from just like studying what their owner's doing, and that's when you can get into some training problems too, because they start figuring out what your body language, what you're fixing to do next.
Yeah. You let yours kind of be free or
Yeah, they're pretty
like,
much free. I locked them up tonight because I was doing this, so I didn't want them like getting into everything. I do have an air. I have a training a kennel that's my garage is outfitted as a kennel with a tub and five big 5x5 pens. So when I have training dogs and boarding dogs, that's where they go is in there. But it's air conditioned and heated, and there's TV in there, and that's where I do all my grooming too, is in there.
okay.
So, but my dogs are in the house, and I have two boys in the house, and they do not mark.
They don't fight?
They don't fight, and they don't mark either. They don't ever pee on anything.
Man, that's amazing. That's
So,
amazing. What
well,
where the puppies
go
go?
ahead.
Where they at? The puppies
Huh?
rolled out, huh?
That bull they went up here. I don't think they see
Rolled
where
out.
they're like
Uh,
they're this one's like, come here. Where did you go? Huh?
Put one of them in the camera. We can barely see him because
Yeah, let me get.
it's so
Hey,
dark.
puppies, come on. That knocking them at my other dog. Come on, guys, come out here. Come out here.
It's
What
so
are you
dang
doing?
on dark.
Come on here. Now they'll probably need to pee. They may go out. One of them went out a while ago to pee. So y'all want to wake up? Is it past your bedtime? Huh? Past the bedtime. Oh, don't cry. She's gonna cry because I woke her up. Don't cry. It's hard for me to realize that these are all girls.
Are they all
Because
girls?
I say
You got 4 girls?
four girls, yeah, and I every now and then I'll say he, because
What
this one
was
has this blue ribbon.
what was the litter? Like what like
Four.
it was just 4?
There was just four. Right. She actually the mother, there was more puppies than that, but she absorbed some. So there's the thing is like when people price well bred, well in dogs that have been tested, mothers and fathers are tested and that kind of stuff, they don't really understand how much it costs to bring these dogs into the world. And it's just like we had to have a C-section for the last two puppies in this. I was at 36 hours trying to deliver this litter
That's wild.
and ended up still having to do a C-section for two. And I thought I tried to pull one, but I could get her little foot, but then she would pull it back and I couldn't get her out. So I had to go take her to the vet and she had it on the way to the vet. And
Mm,
then I had the second one was the same way. I would grab her foot to pull her out and she would back up. And then we took her to the vet, and while the vet was having to, is this an emergency vet night too? While the vet was having to do something else, she had that puppy. So then we came home thinking that she could have, because we knew she was going to have four puppies. So we came home thinking, that we were going to, she'd have those, and she didn't. So within about 10 hours, I had to go have a C-section. And but just to get these puppies here, just even without the whelping, without them having a baby, okay, I had to test the mothers and test the fathers, okay,
mhm,
and that runs over $1,000 to $1,500 just for that testing to breed them, okay, and that didn't include all the other stuff you done with them, like put titles on them and those kind of things.
mhm.
Then after that, then so they're clear for testing. So you decide to breed them, and then if you're not breeding to your own dog, then you're having to pay a stud fee.
Yeah.
So you have to do that, and then you have to. We do progesterone testing when we breed, so we'll know the exact day the puppies are going to be born.
Mm.
So you have to do 4 or 5 days of progesterone testing, and that's about $700. Then, after you do that, your progesterone testing, and you know when the puppies are going to be born, you do an ultrasound at 23 or 24 days, and that's another $300 to $400.
So you could be at
And then,
6 grand right now, 6,500 some if you gotta pay for a stud too. If you gotta pay
yeah,
for
if you
a
have to
stud
pay for the
information.
stud,
Yeah.
right? And then 10 days before the puppies are born, you do an x-ray to see how many puppies they are. It's like with this litter, we thought there were only, when we did the ultrasound, we thought there were only 3 puppies. But when we did the x-ray, we saw that there was 4.
Mm.
So, and so we knew that if a female dog goes past the 63rd day of whelping, the puppies will die. Not
Oh
like a
wow,
human.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Not like a human where, you can live. No, they will start dying.
So,
So
mm.
that's the reason why we
So
really want to know.
what changes in the female's body? Like what? How does that happen?
The sacs, I guess, start to dry up, in them. And if their sacs don't keep fluid in them, or the puppies release from the uterus, and then that's the end of them then too.
Oh wow.
So there's just so many things that can happen. So if it's like, do you go do that C-section and have a live puppy, or do you wait till the 64th or 5th day and have dead puppies?
Well, I think in general, I'm thinking, I don't know, but it would seem like people would know that good dogs cost these days. Like
Right.
good dogs cost, man. Because I see, like I said, I got clients going to pet stores paying $8,000 for a dog that should cost $2,000.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
And
And
yeah, it didn't come from a reputable breeder, someone who knew.
yeah, and the dog's coming out with all these problems. So I got a couple clients that have paid $8,000 and $9,000 from these kind of stores. You know what I mean?
Right.
And who even knows who the breeders are? Who knows?
Right.
You know?
Because
So
those are brokers. Those dogs are brought in with that's called a broker.
yeah,
So a broker goes out and find, and you got to be really careful when you're buying dogs, because somebody will run an ad, like say somebody has Bermudoodles, okay, or not Bermudoodles, but Burmese mountain dogs. So you go there, and you get there, and the puppies are there, but there's no other, the parents aren't there. Now, or the
mhm,
mother's not there. Now, in my situation, the mother isn't here because she belongs to somebody else, and the sire is my dog too, but he belonged to some. These are frozen semen puppies. But so he's not here. But I've got the mother's sister, 2 of her sisters, and a half brother, and the sire, and all that kind of stuff to the mother of these puppies.
yeah,
So
and
you want to be really careful.
that's why we trying to tell people like it's important to go to a breeder that can tell you about the lineage of the
Right.
dog, the lineage,
Personality.
so you can know what you really got versus somebody that just
Right.
one and done type breeder. They just breed them just to get some money. They don't care about no lineage. You go there, the
Right.
mom not there, the dad not there. All you see is
Right.
puppies. Like, nah.
Well, you know what? I had a friend of a friend, okay, that the reason why I used the Burmese, it was buying a Burmese. And so they saw it in the paper and they called and they said, yeah, we have a Burmese. And they said, well, we want a boy. And they said, okay, no problem. So they go there and they see the puppy, they like the puppy, they pick it up, they take it home, and they get it home. And in a couple of days, they realize that it's a girl. And the reason why that they thought it was a boy is because it had a little hernia on its belly. That's where the little belly
Oh,
button. That's real common in puppies, because the people were brokers. They didn't rate the dogs had just been dropped off. They said, well, you can't come pick them up till such and such time or see them, because the brokers dropped the dogs off at this person's house.
that's crazy.
So,
I seen it.
yeah,
I seen a video of a person that bought a dog that thought it was brown and they washed it and it was another color. Like the people dyed the dog hair and
right.
sold it. I
Well,
said, people,
I got a better one. I got one like that. Okay, I have another friend whose parents bought a toy poodle. Now I don't know why they thought this was anyway. So that was out off of Craigslist. Okay, and so they go to the guy's house. They go up there with the money and they knock on the door. And the guy takes the money and hands them the dog through the door.
oh,
Shuts the
that's
door. Okay. So they take off with the dog. They go back home. This is a standard poodle puppy, but they still thought it was a toy puppy. I guess they didn't realize that, standard poodle puppy stuff. This is a full grown standard poodle now. And they thought they were buying a toy.
that's crazy.
So that
It's a
that's
cruel world out here. It's a cruel world out here.
that's the
So,
worst story I've ever heard.
so,
But
so
there's more like that.
so y'all, this is why I'm gonna start bringing on breeders on this page so you guys can make up your own mind about if you like these breeders. And you're gonna know if I validate the breeders because I'm you're gonna know because I'm gonna bring them into our membership so that you guys that's looking for Corso breeders, Rottweiler breeders, any kind of breeders, you're gonna know if I stamp them because they're gonna be a part of the team. So, because a lot of people are getting scammed for dogs, people getting dogs that just got all kind of genetic problems. So, and everybody's asking me because I make videos not only on this platform but on other platforms about breeds, and people are asking me for breeders information, and I don't want to just give you these, just refer people that I can't really stamp because if these people do you
Right.
wrong, you're going to say, well, my name is going to be on it. So I'm trying to create a way which I can create real solid relationships and you guys can get a chance to talk to each breeder. So y'all kind of, just keep paying attention to this page and go ahead and join the membership on the page because that's how you're going to be able to really link with all these breeders and get a good dog for your family and know that you're getting it from a good place from solid people. So, subscribe to the
Right.
channel and just kind of, and like I said, these breeders, they're not gonna be one and done. You're gonna see like Miss Sherry, you're gonna see her more often. She's gonna be on here. So, if you're interested in the standard poodle, look her way. Right now you got four. Are those puppies spoken for?
Two of them are sold, and one of them maybe. So yeah.
Okay. So we at least got one on the table right now. So
Yeah,
who
but
who's
it could be two. You know what I mean? Sometimes people takes them a little bit to decide. Sometimes I have people that want to wait for my next litter, which is going to be
mm,
in like in April.
put the
So
put the one
yeah,
in the camera that's not sold yet. Put it in the camera.
I don't know. Okay, so I do that differently.
Okay.
Um,
What's your formula? How you do it?
okay, so what I do is that so I have right now I have so let's say I have someone who wants a pet and somebody wants a hunting dog. Okay,
Hmm.
so they generally don't come and pick the puppy. I generally pick the puppy for them because I know the puppy's temperament and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So I don't want to sell a puppy that doesn't have a lot of drive and that kind of stuff for a hunting dog. And I don't want to sell a puppy that's got a ton of drive for a pet dog.
So
So
gotta be careful.
I usually kind of guide them as to what puppy is the best choice.
Okay, for their family, which is good.
Right.
That's that's good because
You should always
you
let your breeder, even for your other people that breed and stuff, you'll find out that people that breed, usually the breeder does like to help you choose the dog
for the
because
family.
they know what's going on. They've been doing it for years and they know what you're going to
And
be up against.
and this is the thing, guys. See, the breeders, okay, the breeders that care, they want you to keep the dog. They want you to take care of the dog, so they want to give you the right dog that matches you, and they know that if they also give you the wrong dog, guess what the dog is coming back to? It's coming back to them. It's coming back to them. So let me make sure they're more incentivized to make sure they give you the right dog for you. Now, some breeders don't care. They'll just
Right.
give you the one with the little head or the big head. Which one you want? Like they don't care about no drive. They don't care about anything. They just care about you.
Rose up again.
All right, I think I blanked out just for a
It
second.
froze. Yeah, we froze up again. It did.
But a lot of breeders don't care. So, it's good when you get the breeders that are stricter. You just got to get the breeder that is in line with what you want. In line with what you want. If you are looking for a dog that you can breed, either talk to this breeder, create a relationship. Sometimes things work out, or go to a breeder that would, be float your boat, basically. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you just want a good quality dog for your family, and you want somebody to be able to stand behind the health of it, at least for some months. Unless you're gonna act like. Matter of fact, before I go into that, do you like to give people information on how to keep the dog healthy, or like what it?
Yeah,
What,
I have a whole thing that goes out. I have a contract, and so with my contract, there's a thing for Jean Dodds, Dodds, and
mhm.
she is a vet that has done tons of research into how over vaccinating makes our dogs ill. And there's really no reason for over vaccinating. Once they're kind of vaccinated, they kind of are most. disorders are vaccinated, and some like rabies. Usually, your dog. Like I was part of the group of people that went to Austin to change our rabies protocol, and we didn't get it changed as much as we wanted to. It used to be every year, and then we got it changed to every 3 years. But we
Okay.
really wanted it changed to every 7 years, and they wouldn't do that. So,
You was trying to really
and we
y'all really trying to just get rid of it. So
right.
every
Well, we
7
have a
years, they're trying
study.
to get rid of it.
Right. There was a study. The one of the first studies had it for. They did a study, and so it actually they knew for a fact that one rabies vaccine lasted 10 years. And so they didn't like that study. So we had another study that was for 7 years. And that's the study that they took. And they said, well, so of course, all the big pharma and stuff, they didn't want that to happen because they sell rabies, the rabies vaccine. So
Mhm.
so they said that they were going to split it so that they made it every 3 years instead of every
At
year.
least it's not every year, 'cause that's ridiculous.
Right. But the whole thing about that is too, is that every time you vaccinate a dog, you ignite their immune system. So even for me in the state of Texas, the only thing you have to have is a rabies shot. So all the other vaccines that you get are just at your pleasure, or if you
Mhm.
have a groomer that requires it or whatever. All dogs should be vaccinated, but they don't need to be repetitively vaccinated. You
Yeah.
know, every year is not a good thing. That can make it because it ignites their immune system. You're given 3 or 4 different viruses at the same time. There are some vaccines that are not good, and they're bacterial vaccines, and they don't even work, but yet
Mm.
you're paying money for them. So, yeah,
Yeah,
so
no.
I have a whole thing when somebody buys a puppy for me that explains all that to them, and it's kind of a bit of a requirement. I mean, I don't make them do that, but usually by the time they leave with a puppy, they understand. Now, sometimes their vets can talk them into it, but
Mhm.
we try to avoid that. So, and it's so expensive. You get a dog and you go to the vet, it's $300 or something, to get
Off the
vaccinated.
rip. Off the rip,
So who
for sure.
wants to do that when it's not needed and could make your dog sick?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. But it's
So,
yeah, that's a whole machine.
yeah.
That's a whole
Oh,
machine,
absolutely.
know? So, but the only
Uh,
thing that you can do is try to, educate people because
Right,
the average owner doesn't really know what to do as far as the health of their dog, so they
right,
listening to the professionals. So now they gotta
right,
choose between which professional they're gonna listen to, you
right.
know what I mean?
And
So
that's the problem is that, they get, I now my vet, I don't have any trouble with my vet because she understands and all that kind of stuff. But I have actually been in seminars with vets who are talking about certain stuff, and by the time our conversation is over, they tell me, "Well, you are right," you know.
mm,
And I'm like, "Yeah, but you're up here saying, you do have to have this vaccine when we know that it doesn't work." And why don't we have, if humans can get that, why don't we have a vaccine for humans? Well, because it's not safe for humans. So, you
mm,
know, so
mhm.
it's like, yeah.
So
So you
look,
want to be
what you think about this neuter and spay thing?
well. I think that females generally, if you're not breeding them, need to be spayed
Okay.
because they can get pyometria and all kinds of problems. Um,
That's a
I
big deal right there too. People don't know
right, that
pyometrics
is.
crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I think it's very expensive too, and they can die from it. And it depends on what kind of
It's like
pyometria they have. They have
yeah,
closed and open.
I had got a Roddy, man. I had a client, a year and a half ago that dumped a dog on me. Dumped the dog, and it had pyometria, and the dog
Oh,
almost
no.
died. And,
Yeah,
the dog was getting skinny as a rail, bleeding like I'm talking about just bleeding like crazy. Man, it
right,
it was like a period that never ended.
right,
You know what I mean? But it was like a, not like a dog period. You know what I
right,
mean? Like, 'cause the
right,
dogs just kinda drip, but it was a bunch
right.
of blood.
Of blood, right,
Yeah,
right,
man, and we had to I had to pay for the surgery, and it was
right.
$2,500 for that
Yeah,
surgery, and if I
yeah,
didn't the dog was gonna die if I didn't do it.
right,
So, I had to do I had to do it, and this is on a dog that got dumped on me from a a
right.
a training client. So, it's
See,
you know
that and that's the thing too is that pyometria that was open pyometria. If she'd had closed pyometria, she'd have died because she wouldn't have been able to expel the infection.
all of that oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, so there's 2 different kinds. Lots of times they get, closed pyometry and people don't know it till it's too late. So that's the reason why you really need to spay. Now, neutering boys. The problem with that is that I I prefer an intact male, okay? And
Me
so
too.
I understand when I have clients that want to keep an intact male, but I have to know for a fact that they're not going to breed that dog, you know, and that because they have even and if you neuter them too soon, usually I have them to not neuter them until they're after 14 months old. Then you can neuter them out.
Mm-hmm.
But because it also has to do with their joints, the same way with the females. I want them to be a year old. There's a hormone, a sex hormone that stops the front leg from growing. And if you neuter them too soon, that leg can continue to grow and give them shoulder dysplasia and all kinds of problems.
Mm.
So,
So
and
it's
but I
affecting
saw
the body.
some,
It's affecting the rest of the body.
yeah. So I saw a thing there where they talked about dogs. Because see, a lot of the shelters and stuff neuter and spay them when they're little bitty, like and they get them at 10 weeks and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. And with the females, if they do that, they can cause problems where they leak pee after that. They can't control their bladders and stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So yeah, and you want to be really careful when you have your bitch spayed because you want to make sure that the vet knows what they're doing because a vet can do that too, even at an older age, can make them and know who wants a dog that's leaking urine everywhere, you
exactly.
know. And
Exactly.
so, but I saw a thing where they said with these boy puppies that they're neutering at this really young age, okay, and selling in at the shelters and stuff, that they are now giving them testosterone therapy, and because those dogs have a lot of fear,
Yeah, 'cause
so they're
you take it
giving,
away from 'em. Yeah. So
yeah, they're giving testosterone therapy.
that's just another way to get some money right there.
Right? I know, yeah, it's neuter, right? But they say it is working. It does help.
But I'm going
So
neuter you, so Imma get that neuter money first, and then I'm gonna sell you some
exactly,
testosterone. Imma get that money for at
exactly,
least 11, 12
exactly.
months. That's crazy.
Right. Well, that's the shelters do that because they have this fear. The thing is, the sad thing about the shelters is they see the worst of the worst. You
Yeah.
know, and so I don't agree with a lot of stuff that goes that like the news. But what else are they going to do? I mean, so it's really a catch-22. I mean,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I mean, I tell people if you can't afford to buy a dog that is or buy a poodle that's from a good breeder and stuff, go get a rescue because if you go pay a bunch of money for a poodle that hasn't been tested in anything, you may as well buy a rescue because you don't know anything about that dog. So
Yeah.
go get the rescue and save it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That'd be a good move. I For
Yeah,
myself, I'm kinda neutral when it comes to the spay and neuter. It's like
yeah, me too.
I don't do it myself, but I've had neutered dogs before because I used to be in the shelter world. I used to train for shelter,
Right,
be at all the
right,
adoption events and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
for myself, like I wouldn't want a dog that's neutered anyway in general, but that's just me.
Me neither.
Um,
Yeah,
if I was to do it, I would wait till the dog came into maturity to finish
right.
growing at least. But I just feel like a lot of vets be lying to people, talking about if you neuter this dog, it's not gonna be aggressive or like it's gonna
Oh, that's bull.
automatically fix stuff. So
Right.
if you want to neuter or spay, it is what it is. But I don't believe that you should be telling people that this
No,
is the answer for aggression. You know what I mean? Because
it
it's
is
not the
not.
answer for aggression because I get neutered aggressive dogs all the time that come through these doors. So it's not the answer. But I will say that it does help sometimes. I have seen when it has helped dogs settle down. But I
Right.
know it's not an end all be all for all dogs because I get aggressive neutered dogs. So,
No.
you
Yeah,
know,
my vet won't tell you that. You know what I mean? My vets are they would never say that. So,
yeah.
and that's what you have to go out and kind of know your vets. I have my vets. I've had a long relationship with them. They're breeding vets. That's what they do.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of the stuff that they do is people who breed dogs and stuff. Because you can't just take if you're breeding dogs, you just can't take them to the pet vet because they're not going to know about. They're not going to have the ability to test progesterone to know when the dog's ready to be bred or
Mhm.
any of that kind of stuff, ultrasounds and all that. Did you wake up? Well, that's very nice. So
So what you mean like you would rather take them to a hot like the pet hospital, like the The hospital versus like the clinic?
Well, it's a clinic. It's the well, I don't know if I should say who they are.
No, no, don't say. I'm just saying in general as
Right,
a breeder. So because you
right.
want to go all of the
There's
equipment
two
is it?
veterinarian clinics that I go to, and they do other things other than breeding dogs. Okay,
Okay.
but that's their main thing. One of them is known internationally for bulldogs because there's not, bulldogs are a very difficult breed to breed, because
Mhm.
you have to AI, do a C-section and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they're internationally known for that. And then the other vet that I go to is a vet that had worked there and they went and opened up their own clinic. So
Okay.
I have two vets.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So
So
yeah, there's
yeah,
always that one vet clinic you can go to, but they might not have all the machines. Like me, I drive almost like 50 minutes away to go
yeah,
to a particular vet that I know
I
has
do. I
what I
drive
need.
an hour, right? I drive
See,
an hour to one and 20 minutes to the other.
yeah,
So it just depends on but that the one I drive an hour to was educated at the one I drive 20 minutes to.
is what
So,
you said is what is.
was educated at the one I drive 20
Oh,
minutes to. He worked for them for years.
I see
Well,
what
actually, two of the vets did. So yeah. So I feel very comfortable with them. I have, and they know that I care about my dogs. So there's never any question when I call them, it's like they tell me just exactly what needs to be done, or if they don't know, they find out, but they generally know.
yeah. Out look,
So,
I ain't even gonna bother you. I was about to ask you something, but I ain't even gonna bother you. Is it matter of fact, is the poodle, if you can get in any other breed, what breed would it have been?
well, I did have Dobies and I did have Brittany's. The poodle does might remind me sometimes of a Brittany, with their
I don't,
hunting skills,
I don't
you
have
know.
I've never laid hands on a Britney before. I haven't really been around them like that. Like what are they like?
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
it depends on the Brittany. Like my dad, we had field dogs. You know what I mean? They were field dogs. And now some of the show dogs are a little bit space cadets kind of sometimes, but not all of them. And some of the field dogs are just don't want to do anything but hunt. So I would probably have to question that for a while as to whether or not, if I was going to get a hunting dog, it would probably be a Brittany. But if I was going to get a dog, it would probably be a Dobie. I really liked the Doberman I had. Now I had blue healers too, but there's
Mhm.
a lot there's a lot of responsibility that goes when you have a cattle dog of any kind.
Mm,
Because their whole life is about herding something.
yeah,
So they're kind of hard to live with sometimes. And that at that time when I had the healers, I had horses and stuff, so they fit in there.
yeah.
They really don't think would fit in here now.
So
But the W,
I guess it makes sense that you would say the Dobie because the Dobie is kind of similar to the poodle a little bit with that
right,
sensitive nature. So
right,
it's kind of similar. I think the Dobie I might be wrong about this though, but it seems like Dobies have more drive.
right.
Or
Oh yeah,
they're a little bit more
yeah,
energetic than the poodle is, in
yes, I
general.
would agree. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
And they're mouthy, poodles are mouthy, whether they're honey poodles or not, they're mouthy, you
yeah,
know. So
yeah.
that's and Adobe can be the same way. That's the reason why you have to really be careful as puppies, with Dobies that you don't let them go around biting and play biting
Mhm.
and stuff. But yeah, I have some friends that raise some really nice, Dobies that they show and stuff and everything. I also like a Malinois.
You like,
I like those dogs too.
I didn't think you was gonna say that. Okay. You
Do
wanna do some
what?
bite work? Try to do some protection work or some bite work or what? You just like
I like those dogs. I have a friend that has them. Now hers are show dogs, but I know dog, and they're not quite as talented as some of the other, bite dog or Malinois that you see on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But I like those dogs. Those dogs look at you. I like a dog that looks at you to kind of see what you're thinking. They look you in the eye. And is you gonna look me in the eye? They look you in the eye. I want my dog to look up at me like, okay, what's next? What are we doing? Because I'm the leader.
yeah.
So if they're not looking at me, I'm not leading.
Yeah, you want a working dog. You like the dogs that wanna be interactive with you,
Right.
like wanna work.
And the
Yeah.
poodle does that. But so does the Dobie and so does the Malinois.
Yeah, both of those dogs really you gotta be really dedicated with the Malinois, though.
Oh, yeah,
You gotta have nerves of steel, man.
right.
Nerves of steel, cause them jokers get to tearing up everything.
And I probably wouldn't be breeding Malinois, but because they're kinda that dog's a lot of responsibility, and
Mhm.
you have to really know you know, the people that are in the Malinois community. I think you would have to really be in touch with them because you need trainers that really know what they're doing with those dogs. The
Yeah.
ones that are actually working dogs. The show dogs aren't so much like the working Malinois.
Yeah, the working Malinois is a whole different story. Whole
Yeah,
different story. You been got bit so many times just training the dog.
yeah,
You
exactly.
bit
Just
so many
because
times.
that's the way it goes.
That's just what they do. They just bite for fun. There's no emotions behind it. So
Hence the word bite dog.
exactly, exactly. So,
Yeah,
but it was great having you on today. I'm glad you was able to
yeah.
share through today, able to chat it up, and I know we're gonna have you back on here again soon. So, but
Well, I'll look forward to it, and it's always nice talking to you. Seems like we always have really good chats. So I appreciate you having me on, and I think that people need a venue like you're wanting to create here because they lots of times they just don't know. They just go out and don't know. When people, you know, you see all these cute little puppies, and you just dig in your pocket and give them the money, and then you
mhm,
get home and they get sick. So
exactly, exactly. Buying all these dogs and living at the vet with the dogs,
yeah, exactly.
constantly
So
spending money.
yeah,
So
you want to buy from the person that lives at the vet with their dogs, making sure they have healthy dogs. That way,
yeah,
you as the customer doesn't have to do
do
that.
that. Exactly, exactly,
you know,
exactly.
let the breeder do all the work.
Mhm.
Okay.
So y'all, y'all have any questions or comments, just leave them below, and I'll be sure to get back with you. If you're interested in one of her puppies, just send me an inbox, and we'll connect you two, and we'll go from there. So God bless, and catch y'all on the next one.
Thank you a lot, Mark.
God bless.
Bye bye. God bless.